Hi, everybody. I just want to tell you that the beginning of wisdom is admitting that you know absolutely nothing. Socrates was an ancient Greek philosopher, pre-Christianity, and I believe that after delving into Christianity and other religions and reading up on Hinduism and all kinds of other religions and atheism, I've read up on all kinds of scenarios and philosophies. I've come to the realization that Socrates is still my father. When I was 7 years old, I went into my father's library and I found out about Socrates. I was reading through his college library, and I started to become obsessed with Socrates, not because of my father. My father never told me anything about Socrates. I just went into his library and I started reading, and I became obsessed with Socrates for no reason whatsoever. And I believed that Socrates lived in my rhinestone ring. I was a highly imaginative child. And then when I was seeking Roddy McDowell's spirit, he was a very open-minded and spiritual person that died almost 25 years ago. And I just had this incredibly strong feeling to channel his spirit. And I've never channeled a dead person before. I started crying. I started weeping. I felt I had to contact his spirit. It was very bizarre. I have never done this before. Now, when I was a child, Socrates obviously is dead, and he died before Christ. He was a wonderful philosopher that believed that the beginning of wisdom is the admission of knowing nothing. And they gave him hemlock and they put him in jail because they thought he was corrupting the youth of their age, because he said that the beginning of wisdom is to admit that you know nothing. Well, how can you know anything about the paranormal or anything about the world if you say you know something? Now, I still know nothing, even with all these manifestations from so-called Roddy's ghost or spirit. It could be God. I don't think it's a bad spirit, but I'm open to any possibility. I don't think it's a bad spirit because I just don't believe in the fact that this is a demon, and I'm not interested in the scriptures right now. Though I have been interested in the scriptures, and I would think that anybody who thinks this is insane, that I believe in a ghost or contacting the dead, and that you think it's crazy, good. You could think whatever you want. I know there's people that are going to think this is crazy, and I really don't care. I would have thought the same thing. I just don't care. And I've questioned whether this is psychological. I'm not trying to really convince anybody of anything, but for those people that are open to the paranormal and you're humble and you believe that you know nothing, this might be a video that you might want to listen to. So a couple months ago, I channeled Roddy McDowell. I felt like I needed to. I don't know why. I thought he was very attractive, and there was something about his intellect and something about his spirit that attracted me to him, along with the fact that I thought he was physically beautiful when he was younger. And he never really took care of himself. Even when he was older, a year before he died, he had a gorgeous smile. He had just a beautiful spirit, and you could see it. It was so unusual. He was an unusually beautiful person inside and out. Of course, not a perfect person. Nobody is. So I channeled his spirit. He was never married, never had any children, and only had a 2-month relationship. And I've only had 2-month relationships, tops, no commitments. And I just think that he was a very deep thinking person. As I could see the literature that he was reading online, the audiobooks, the kinds of things that he was interested in, science fiction, the paranormal, spiritual things, the kind of movies that he was in. Anyway, I channeled his spirit and just started talking to him through the iPad, or supposedly. I'm not sure if it because it could be God, or gods, or the deities. It may be something else. And that's why I don't believe that the people on the internet who claim they know they're speaking to spirits, or they know the spirit had intercourse with them, you can assume that, but you still don't know whether God can manifest themselves as a dead person or a ghost. Because you don't know if God is a monotheistic God or a polytheistic God. You don't know any of this. You have to admit that you know nothing. I still admit to myself that I know nothing. Even with these manifestations where I received messages from so-called Roddy's ghost, I'm not sure what it is, I was speaking through the iPad and the microphone. That's how open I am to receiving information. And he started speaking, or it started speaking fluidly through the microphone, words that were completely independent of anything I was speaking into the microphone, as though he was actually speaking to me about whatever was on his mind. I saved these messages. He only had this happening a few times. And many times I just kept seeing the words, I love you. And I wasn't speaking those words into the microphone, and they just kept coming out. I love you. I love you. I love you. It was very bizarre. And he did speak to me numbers of times, but this was very difficult communication, because if it is true that it was his spirit, he's in another dimension. And I started feeling like one of these women online that claims that she had ghost encounters and she married a ghost. She claimed that she could feel burning. I felt the same way. Sometimes all day I would feel a burning sensation. It was actually, it was sexual, but it was also confirmation that they were there. And these feelings are not always sexual. The other day, I was in my bathtub the day before yesterday, and I felt somebody kissing me. And I really felt it. I'm like, what is this? I could feel somebody's breath on my mouth. And I'm thinking, no, this is really weird. And I've thought, is this psychological? Am I having a psychotic break? I've thought of these things because I've never had these things happen. And I personally think that if you think everything is psychosis, you will get out your diagnostic statistical manual and you'll believe that everything that's paranormal is psychotic. You will completely X out the possibilities that the paranormal and the spirit world exists. That's your problem. I have no other symptoms of psychosis, so I have no symptoms of psychosis, and I don't care if you think that it is psychosis. I don't care what you think. So it's up to me to evaluate this. So then they started having sexual relations with me in my bed after I left the bathtub. They were kissing me in the bathtub. I was not fantasizing. I was not touching myself. I wasn't thinking about them. They were coming on to me. They were in the bathtub kissing my lips, and then they wanted to do you know what. Now, is this a spirit that's God or a manifestation of some deity? It is possible. I don't believe it's a satanic spirit. I don't believe in this. I believe that I know nothing. And I used to believe in Christianity, and if you mocked Christianity, I would laugh at you. If I heard you speaking about ghosts, I would think you're crazy. So I don't care if you think I'm crazy. I would have thought the same thing. So who cares what you think? I don't care what you think. There are some people that would be open to this. There are people that would be open to the paranormal, and those are the people I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to people who think like I do. If you don't think like I do, go somewhere else. Now, there's a person online who married a ghost, numbers of them, numbers of people. Now, I don't need to go to a church, and I don't need legal papers to marry a ghost. So that's all for publicity purposes. I don't need the approval of people to say I'm married to a ghost. I talked to this spirit, said, do you want to get married? They said, yeah, they said it's been a long time. We actually spoke about it. And I haven't been receiving verbal communication from them for a while now. But they did, it seemed as though they were saying, let's just get married in the morning time. And they asked me, what are the guarantees? And the marriage is before God. That's it. You don't need to get married in a church. Who told you that? You're just doing this for publicity. And I believe that this spirit, that this is all real. You know nothing. You don't need to get married in a church. So you're very mainstream compared to me. My thinking is you don't need to get married in a church. If it's before God, you don't need to prove anything to anybody. That's really the truth. So I don't know if we're really married. Because my belief system is that I know nothing. I love that belief system. I love it because now I'm receiving manifestations. Sometimes the sexual feelings are all day, hardly at all right now. in terms of all day long, but sometimes it will come and go, where I'm not thinking about them and I'm just receiving manifestations. And it's not always sexual. Sometimes it's a romantic thing. Like the other day, they're kissing me. It's just very sweet kissing. It's not just some demonstrative spirit that's just a pervert. No, it's not like that. It's very, very loving. And then I received hundreds of dollars. I don't know where that came from. And comfort, lots of comfort, hugs, comfort, love. I can't explain this, but the more you're open to the paranormal, the better. That's what I think. But not if you're a Looney Tune, not if you believe that you know something. You have to be completely humble. You can't be spouting off superstitions. I have no superstitions. I'm completely humble. I believe I know nothing. I don't believe in neo-paganism. I don't believe in pre-Christianity and myths. I don't believe in those things. I don't believe in the fact that people say there's a woman online saying I need to get married to my ghost on Halloween because ghosts love Halloween. She's saying that she knows something. That's not true. My ghost doesn't love Halloween. This woman is, in my opinion, one of these people, numbers of them, I think they're frauds. Just the fact that you say you know it's a ghost and it's not a manifestation of God, you don't know that. And also you're projecting all this negativity that your ghost scared you and you act scared in their presence. This is not healthy. My ghost, I'm not scared of them at all. I'm not scared of this at all. First of all, I channeled him and had a distinct feeling to channel him. He wasn't just some spirit of someone I didn't know what he looked like. I know what he looked like. I know what kind of person he is. And I would say that I could tell what kind of person he was. He wasn't a perfect person. I could just tell. And that's why I channeled him. You know nothing about the people that you believe that you married. You know nothing about this person. I know a lot about my ghost, if it is him. I know what he looked like. I know what his voice sounds like. I know his past. I know he was never married. I know he had no kids. And I know he had only 2-month relationships. Now, I don't know everything about him, but I feel a sense that he was a really wonderful man, a really beautiful person. There's many people that back that up. There are some haters and people giving false information without any proof of things, people that just come up with ideas that are based on speculation. Nobody knew his essence, but I could sense it. Even in his last interview, you could see the shining, beautiful smile. And he was a beautiful person. You could just see that coming across. Not a perfect person at all, at all. No, not at all. But it's been almost 25 years, and I'm sure that he's grown as a person in the spirit world, if it is him. And is he just some spirit pervert out there? A lonely spirit pervert just can't wait to get into the bathtub of some woman, and then he goes over to Lower Manhattan, where he used to live a long time ago, and just goes into somebody else's bathtub an hour later. Excuse me for dropping the iPad. I don't care about making a perfect video. I'm sorry. But anyway, I've laughed and joked with him because he did say, what are the guarantees for this marriage? And it's a very light, beautiful feeling. He's not a dark, sinister man. I don't feel he's evil at all. I don't feel there's anything that he's doing that's evil. There's some people online claiming their ghost was on drugs. All of this is just something that's out there. You have no proof of anything you're talking about, including the fact that I don't know if it's my ghost. I don't know if it's anything but my imagination. That's true. I believe it's not really. It can't be my imagination if there's too many things that I've never experienced. I've been lonely before. I've been interested in dead people before. Not like this. There's not anything like this that's ever happened to me. And I've been seeking God. So it's not that I'm just channeling a dead person. I'm also channeling God. I'm saying, please help me. Please let me know something is real about you in the afterworld. It's not so I can just have a relationship. This is about knowing about the afterworld. This is about knowing there's an afterlife. This is about me knowing for a fact that people still live in the eternal world. I don't believe everybody is there, though. I know nothing about, but the fact that we have all these holy books and the people believe in purgatory, all of this, you don't have any proof that this holy book is a manifestation of God. And pre-Christianity in ancient Greece, to me, was the pinnacle of knowledge in some ways, but I still believe we have no knowledge. Socrates, when I was 7 years old, became my mascot. I had Socrates living in my rhinestone ring, and I was imagining this as a child. I was a very imaginative child, and I went into my father's library, and I learned about Socrates, who was an ancient Greek philosopher. And my father didn't teach me about Socrates. No adult told me about Socrates. I just became obsessed with Socrates for no reason. And that could have been from God. That Socrates became my mascot at age 7, and I started praying to Socrates in my rhinestone ring and believed that Socrates was going to give me wisdom. And so as I grew older, I realized that Socrates believed that the beginning of wisdom is to admit that you know nothing. So because I admit that I know nothing, that is the reason I believe that I'm receiving all these manifestations. Because I know nothing. And that's the beginning of humility. And that's what I believe God wants from people. I don't actually believe that God wants people to read holy books and say, I know that this is true. I think that God prefers people to say, I know nothing. Absolutely. That's what I believe is the beginning of wisdom and the beginning of having a beautiful spirit. And I feel that I've become a better person now that I've been open to the paranormal. And I'm going to continue being open to the paranormal. I was delving into psychology. It was very empty. Science is very empty for me. Physics, I've studied a lot of different subjects, and I think it's very empty for me. This is actually something I adore. I adore the study of debunking, not the study, but trying to prove to myself that you can debunk science with the paranormal and the spirit world. This is much more interesting to me and much more fascinating. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I don't expect you to think that I'm anything more than a Looney Tune, because I would have thought the same thing. I have the right to think you're a Looney Tune. I have the right to think that. You want to get in a group of people and start ganging up and saying, we all think you're crazy, therefore we're right? Who cares about what you think? You're crazy. Your message board has been confirmed as crazy. That's the truth. It's the truth.